Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey pattern testing here. And we've got another really interesting one to test out here today. It's something that's definitely a little bit new to the channel and we've never tried a load quite like this before yet. And those loads are some of these guys right here. Now I'll take one out of the package here for you to see. But these are a Salt Creek custom load. They're a 12 gauge 3-inch 2 ounces of lead 4s over lead 6s. So those are our first mixed or stacked shell that we've tested here on the channel. And I do have to thank the guys over at Salt Creek and Keith for sending me these shells. I'm not paid to tell you guys anything. I'm not sponsored by them. They just sent me some shells and asked, hey, do you want to test these out? But if you like the shells that you see from Salt Creek, or if you're looking for something a little bit more custom or a little bit more specific as far as shot size or something like that, give those guys a call or an email or something, because chances are they can probably load you up something like that. That's a stacked load or a specific shot size that you might want. But as for our setup that we're going to be running today, I've brought back out once again the Remington 1187 Premier, but this time for these loads I decided to throw in this choke just to see what it was capable of doing with them. This is a TRUGLO Gobble-Stopper Xtreme. It's a 665 constriction choke, and I want to say it was like 25 bucks off the store shelf. So definitely a budget choke, but it has performed well above its price class so far. With everything we've put through it, I believe. This has been a really surprising choke for us. And up on top here real quick, for those of you who are interested, this is a Leupold VX1 2-7x28. Technically it's a rimfire scope, but we're testing it to see how it holds up on a 12 gauge, and so far it's been perfect. So as for our target, it's going to be the typical 40-yard shot. I do have the chronograph out here today, so as we shoot that shot, it will be run across the chronograph so we can actually see our velocity, since it's not written on those shells or on the bag. And I have some pretty high hopes for these. I really hope that they do well, since they are a much different load from what we normally have tested here. But either way, let me get you guys set up down here at the target, and we're going to take the shot with these 4s over 6s of lead and see how they do down there at 40 yards on the paper. So let's go over here and get all set up. Okay, so that shell gave us 1141 feet per second. So definitely not loaded too hot or not loaded too soft either. I believe the last time we tested one of these Salt Creek lead loads, the number 6s, they were 1143. So they seem to be loaded pretty consistently across the board for sure. So let's run down here to the target and see how they did on that. Alright, so this is what we got down here at our 40-yard target. And right off the bat, he is absolutely a dead turkey for sure. But as you can see, since we're loaded up with a little bit of 4-shot in that load, we don't have near the pellet count like a full shell of number 6s would. And even though this is the first test of a number 4 on this channel, even though it's not a full shell of 4s, I have found in the past that number 4 lead shot can be a very tricky load to get to perform like you would want it to. So looking at this, I would say this is definitely one of the better, if not the best, number 4 patterns that I have personally gotten, even though this does have 6s mixed in. We have a pretty condensed center section of our pattern here. It's not super hot, but it's pretty even across the middle there. But we do still see a couple of these little strings off the edges over here, which is pretty interesting. But all in all, I am pretty happy with how that performed. So as for the initial test of these loads, I think we're off to a pretty decent start here. But I still think we should test that load through probably the 835 as well, but also a couple different constrictions of choke in that 1187, because we might see a little bit better results than that even if we tune that load in with a different choke combination. But either way, I think we're off to a pretty good start with these loads. Alright, and this is our wad out of that shell right there. Just your pretty typical full length wad, nothing too special to see here. We do see a couple little rips in it, nothing major or nothing that I would be concerned with affecting the pattern anyway. As you can see here, I did find what appears to be the bottom section of this wad here about 20 yards down range, and the actual wad itself was probably about 30 yards, but we don't see any kind of buffer material or shot pellets or anything like that stuck down in there. The wad definitely opened up. So all in all, about what I would expect for a wad like this. All right, well, what do y'all think about it? We absolutely have a dead turkey here, that's for sure. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that these might like a little bit tighter constriction choke? Or I do have an older colonial choke that's a 675 constriction. Maybe we try and run them through that and see how they do. But all things considered, I'm pretty happy with our starting point that we got for these shells. And let me know your thoughts about these shells. If that's something that you like or that you would want to try out or that you actually use right now. I wouldn't have any issues taking that out in the woods. No question there. But on that note, I've got a couple more tests I need to film out here today. So stick around because we've got plenty more coming. And I'll see y'all in the next one.